Number 10. Ballora. There are a lot of people who are hopeful that we will see the return of Ballora, and with her get potentially more information on the Afton family and possibly William's wife, who she maybe was made to resemble. We're still not really sure on that yet. The purple hand at the end of the Security Breach trailer had many fans speculating that this could mean Ballora's return, as purple is her color. I, however, am more inclined to think that the purple hand could belong to someone else who may or may not make this list, but I also think that Ballora could end up being rebuilt. After all, many fans believe that Ballora did not contain a soul within her, so it is possible that she could be rebuilt, and her blueprints did at one point exist as well, so someone other than William could even get their hands on those and rebuild her, even update her and include her as an attraction at the Mega Pizzaplex. Number 9. Funtime Foxy, or really any of the Funtime animatronics. I am basically ready for an animatronic jamboree or parade with everyone showing up. I also have a theory that there could be some kind of storage facility beneath the Pizzaplex that stores all of the animatronics. Just based on that more behind the scenes setting that we saw explored in the trailer, where it's all dark and metal and there are pipes everywhere, it reminds me a lot of Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental. I'm just saying. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are as excited for Security Breach as we are, be sure to show that excitement by giving this video a thumbs up. I promise if you thumbs up the video, you will get the game faster. That's just how it works. I don't make the rules, I just play by them. Number 8. Golden Freddy. I am always hoping to see Golden Freddy because he is just my favorite version of Freddy Fazbear. He is known for being quiet, sneaky, and pretty rare. I also would just love to see if we get a new version of the character in Security Breach, or how his appearance could be updated there. In Five Nights at Freddy's AR Special Delivery, Golden Freddy has like solid gold teeth. So to me, the golden opportunities here are endless for what kind of appearance changes we could see happen with this character. I personally am into the idea of a neon or shiny Golden Freddy. Just all neon everything for me, please.
And at 7. Harley Quinn. Is Glamrock Chica actually based on or inspired by Harley Quinn from DC Comics? Now, I'm gonna go a little bit top 10 nerd on you for a minute, but I saw this comment left on the official Security Breach gameplay trailer, saying that while Vanny does seem Harley-esque, Chica is a much closer match, thanks to the pink on her costume and the murderous intent, even though originally she was trying to be good, in reference to the hardware they installed on the toy animatronics. Plus, Chica is very much looked at in a similar way to Harley, and I hate that I have to say that, where they're both, quote, psycho yet sexy, as some Redditors are putting it, which is just weird. Psycho isn't sexy, okay? It's not a good thing. Nevertheless, could this interpretation be more Harley Quinn inspired? I doubt it, but if she ends up using her guitar like a hammer, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it at that point because it will basically be confirmed. If the other animatronics would be supervillains, or I guess maybe superheroes, even though I doubt it, who do you think that they would be? I think that Monty would either be Solomon Grundy or Hulk, but like evil, and then like Roxanne would be like Cheetah. I don't know about Glamrock Freddy. He's giving me more Star Wars vibes with like the Tauntaun mechanics. Yeah, if you know, you know.
Number 6. Balloon Boy. Or the Balloon Boys Band, maybe? As Top 10 gaming co-host and Viper Girl channel host Bree suggested to me earlier today. I love the idea of a Balloon Boys band, actually. It just sounds so great. All the Balloon Boys. I personally find Balloon Boy so irritating, which is also why I kind of want to see him return and watch how players struggle with his existence in this game. I think we could see an alternate version of him in terms of gameplay function anyways, with the mysterious character that some people spotted in the trailer, appearing as a disruptive animatronic monkey with symbols or as a moon. A lot of people are saying it's the moon to the sun animatronic, which yeah, could be a thing. Or it could be someone different. There's lots of options. We don't really know yet. But to me it also kind of, the position just looked like a monkey with symbols. I don't know if I'm the only one that's seeing that. I think I am. Perhaps this moon animatronic or monkey with symbols animatronic could even cause animatronics to be attracted to you as you attempt to sneak around the Pizzaplex. I'm just saying, if it's a monkey with symbols, you know what I mean? No one else thinks it's that. Everyone in the comments is gonna be like, Amanda, it's not a thing. Get out. Number 5. Springtrap. I know. Springtrap is doubly dead. So dead and doubly gone. But that doesn't mean we can't see at least some reference to it in Security Breach, or better yet, maybe some kind of flashback to everyone's favorite, super terrifying animatronic. After all, I'm still hoping we'll get more insight into William Afton and his story with Security Breach. I don't mind having more questions added to our big pile with this game, our big pile of questions for us to puzzle out, but it would be cool if we also at the same time at least got a few answers too. It would also be neat if this game found a way to acknowledge some of the various incarnations we have seen of William Afton throughout the years and throughout the franchise, such as his time as Springtrap, and maybe some more Purple Man. I feel like we haven't seen the Purple Man in a while. We know purple is his color, but like I'd love to see that incarnation again. Number 4, Mangle. A fan favorite that I would love to see return is Mangle. As far as I recall, Mangle has not been destroyed and could still be out on the prowl somewhere. Mangle is a fan favorite because of how terrifying they are and how mysterious they are as well. We still don't really know too much about Mangle. Are they possessed by a dog? Are they just an animatronic gone haywire? Or were they driven mad by children constantly disassembling and reassembling them? We don't know for sure, but having them appear in Security Breach might get us closer to finding out.
Getting close to the end in number 3, just a dream. Could Security Breach, much like FNAF 4, just be a dream? This may seem like a long shot, but look at the Security Breach logo animation from a couple trailers, and more importantly, the last couple of Freddy and Friends cartoons. It starts on its side and then comes up, much like how the FNAF 4 logo in their trailer started on its side and then was raised up, as if someone had just gotten out of bed. Doesn't that seem fairly specific to you? And the inclusion of a teaser with Glamrock Chica missing her beak, like Scott teased during a live stream that matpat among others were having after the release of FNAF 4. During this live stream he asked, in the FNAF 4 minigame, why would the tiny toy Chica be missing her beak? Which made them think back to FNAF 2 and how Chica lost her beak when on the attack. So, with that in mind, why would Glamrock Chica be missing her beak again? Sure, it looks like it was ripped off or destroyed, but why? And why seemingly only, or at least focusing on that beak? It's an interesting theory that links back to one of the most controversial theories in all of FNAF, which, according to a poll on the last gaming premiere, for the top 10 FNAF craziest scary fan theories, a majority of you believe to be true. Interesting. But I mean, to be fair, the Security Breach logo comes from the opposite direction that the FNAF 4 logo did, so maybe that's just indicating that this is in the real world because it's the opposite of a dream.
Number 2, Mrs. Afton. Honestly, it seems more likely based on all the research that I've gathered that Vanessa is probably not going to end up being Mrs. Afton, as I kind of initially thought she might be, unless we are doing some kind of, I don't know, weird time traveling stuff, or there's something that I missed. Still, what I am hoping, regardless of who Vanessa really is that we'll get to find out more about William Afton's partner, love, or wife, as I still believe that she is the key to understanding why William became a killer, and I believe she's out there somewhere waiting to be integrated into the story. Mrs. Afton doesn't even have to appear as a character featured in the game in terms of someone playable, a victim, or an animatronic. Even just having some kind of flashback or just more hints towards her would suffice for me for her inclusion in the game. I just want more pieces to help me like solve this puzzle. There's so many like gaps in the puzzle and I'm like, help, please help. Number 1, Stitch Wraith. It's really hard at this point for me to decide just who I would want the most in this game when it comes to characters, but the Stitch Wraith is definitely really high up there, so I decided to give him the top spot for this list. With the books and the games being mostly separate in terms of stories, the Stitch Wraith's appearance could give us a more established and reliable link between them than just, you know, all the clues, the similarities, and the theories that we've pulled from the books thus far. The Stitch Wraith, I think, could also make a very interesting antagonist for not just the books, but also the games, as the way he's described is definitely horrifying, and his whole purpose in the book seems pretty sinister and awful. I don't know about you, but I personally am ready for my Stitch Wraith jump scare now. Please give it to me, Scott Cawthon. Give me the Stitch Wraith jump scare. Number 10, Nightmare. While we are all super excited for Security Breach, the question is, how scary will the animatronics we've seen so far actually be in the game? After all, they look fun and colorful and intimidating, but not really, I don't know, scary? They aren't withered, they aren't nightmare, and they definitely are not springtrap. They look like fully functional, shiny new animatronics. Now, brand new and bright colorful animatronics of course can be scary, but not just based on appearance alone. Usually you need something extra there. So it might be cool to add something a little bit more surface level scary to the mix. That's right, what if Nightmare appeared somewhere in Security Breach? I personally think it would be cool if the whole Nightmare crew showed up at some point and we have like, I don't know, a little dream sequence featuring them. But then again, I'm probably just dreaming with these hopes. Or I guess nightmaring, I suppose. Number 9, the Endos. As I said with my previous point, while I am hyped for Security Breach, I also feel like it could use just a dash more scare. Nightmare might be a good way to add that in, but you know what else could be another good way to do this? With the Endos. Endos are short form for what we usually refer to as an endoskeleton animatronic, and there actually have been a few versions of them to pop up in the franchise, but we've never really seen them developed into any kind of main threat or main character. Even in special delivery, Endos show up and attack you, attempting to jump scare you, but they aren't the main attraction in that game either. They're kind of like the warm-up. It would be cool to see an Endo take on a role as more of a main character or main antagonist. Even perhaps a whole fleet of Endos showing up at once? I mean, that sounds pretty scary to me. Makes me think of Terminator. There's nothing scarier than a robot without its skin on. And friends, before we move on to this next point, if you are enjoying this list and you want more FNAF lists, where we talk about more FNAF characters, please be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. And why not click subscribe while you're down there. It's good for you, I promise. People say every time you click subscribe, an angel gets its wings. Number 8, Puppet. The Puppet is one of the freakiest characters we had in the FNAF universe, and while it might now be gone and Charlie's spirit might be free, it would still be cool to see some form of it return, even if it's just a form of the Puppet that was remade in some way. The Puppet as a character, as a design, is disturbing and unique. We don't have a ton of other animatronics that quite compare to it or look as similar. Perhaps we could have some new version of the Puppet, some other kind of, I don't know, Jack-in-the-Box style animatronic that was maybe even part of security or kind of like a guardian, like how the Puppet was. It would be cool to see the Puppet return in some kind of heroic manner, even if the character wasn't Charlotte any longer. I would love to see a hero Puppet. It's so creepy, but it's such like a sweetie, you know? Creepy, but a sweetie. Number 7, Foxy. I always want more Foxy, and with the new crew in this game featuring seemingly Roxanne Wolf in kind of Foxy's place, I'm hoping we'll see some alternate version of Foxy still in the game, even if it's not the original, obviously. I mean, we have Roxanne Wolf, she looks pretty cool, but it's not Foxy. I mean, I guess you could already guess from the inclusion of Funtime Foxy on this list, I am a big Foxy fangirl. I love pirates, and I also really want to see some acknowledgement of just all the games and their animatronics in this newest one. Also, if William Afton could have potentially found a way to live on, it is possible that he could be making new original animatronics and trying to harvest new souls to trap within them. I'm just thinking out loud here. Could be possible. Number 6, Funtime Freddy and Bon Bon. We might have talked about this a bit in part 1, I don't remember, but a lot of people have actually theorized that the Glamrock animatronics are part of the Funtime family, and that like the Funtime animatronics, these Glamrock animatronics could also be designed for, well, for storage. Storage of people. In Security Breach, fans think we might actually be able to climb into the Glamrock animatronics and even perhaps control them, needing to use their unique abilities to get around the Pizzaplex safely and efficiently. Actually, was this something that matpat mentioned? I feel like it was something that matpat mentioned. So thank you, matpat, for this theory, if that's where it came from, and I'm sure it did. Thank you for this theory. I agree with it. I think it's a really good theory. Now, of course, if this theory is true and the two groups of animatronics are linked, then who is to say that the Funtime animatronics, or at least some version of them, might not be hiding somewhere? Somewhere in the Pizzaplex. You know who is another animatronic known for their capacity to store? Funtime Freddy. I'm just saying, I've seen the blueprints.
Halfway through into number 5, Friendly. Is Glamrock Chica friendly? This is a theory that's been brought up multiple times within the extended wait time for Security Breach's release. However, I don't think we've talked about it much, if at all. We know from trailers and statues that Freddy in this game is going to be our friend. For the first time in the series, an animatronic will really be trying to help us not die. However, After some posters, and more particularly the broken Chica teaser for Security Breach, the possibility of Chica helping us is also on the rise. Aside from potentially being a good partner and bringing us to get food, Chica in this teaser, thanks to a doco stream, actually shows us Glamrock Chica broken, beaten, and missing her beak, to what seems to be the entrance to like the back of the Fazbear Pizzaplex, where they have like delivery trucks and whatnot. But the question is, why would she be broken if she's coming after us, since it seems like the only thing capable of causing that kind of damage is Monty, who we know is going to be on our ass in that game. So could Glamrock Chica either be helping us the whole time, or more likely be able to switch back at some point to be on the good side, helping us and spending her final animatronic breath to do it? Only time will tell. I need someone as dedicated as Chica. I'm taking applications, ladies.
Number 4, Carl the Cupcake. Am I the only one who feels bad that Carl the Cupcake seems left out of Security Breach? Poor Carl. Is Glamrock Chica over cupcakes now? Has she left Carl behind? We see her with her guitar and her leg warmers, but hey, where is Carl? What happened to Carl? Someone tell me. Did she eat him? Carl the Cupcake even got their own jump scare in later games like Help Wanted and FNAF 4, so I'm really hoping that somewhere there is a Carl lurking in the dark, waiting to jump scare you. Maybe a whole army of Carls. Now that is something I would love to see. Attack of the Carls. Attack of the Cupcakes. Number 3, William Afton. Or William Afton as Glitchtrap, perhaps. I know William Afton is gone, but I think we're all expecting that he could be returning in this game, at least in some capacity. Remember when I was talking about that purple hand at the end of the trailer? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's William Afton. With the appearance of Glitchtrap and the reluctant follower of Vanny in Help Wanted, many fans expect that we will see William Afton's imprint or soul return in Security Breach, and that he will attempt to make his move from the digital world to the real world once more. I personally am excited for the potential return of William Afton, but I'm also hoping we'll see him thwarted in the end with a new big bad appearing and taking over his legacy in this game. Mwahaha! Number 2, Glamrock Foxy. Speaking of animatronics we'd love to see glamified, I talked about him on part 1 of my list, and it's time to talk about him again. Could we see a new Foxy at some point in this game? I don't know. I don't think so, but I do hope so. I just love Foxy, and I would kinda love to see what a Glamrock adaptation of his pirate theme would be like. It is possible that in our exploration of the behind the scenes areas at the Pizzaplex that we could run into all sorts of animatronics who are maybe still in development or in a state of disrepair somewhere, hidden away from the entertainment and customer service areas. If this does happen, I would be more than happy to see among these not in service animatronics a Glamrock Foxy, or at least a partially finished design of the character. I don't need a full Glamrock Foxy, even just a Glamrock head for Foxy would do for me. Fans have been creating designs, and they all look so cool, so I just really love to see what Foxy looks like glamrocked out. I mean, look at this guy. Look at this little guy. You don't want this guy? Where's Foxy? Number 1, Michael Afton. One of the characters that many fans are hoping to see somehow return is Michael. Of course, it's more than likely that Michael is gone forever after the events of Pizzeria Simulator, but I think people are hoping that, like William, Michael will somehow prove to be kind of immortal, and that if William Afton lives on, Michael will find a way to return to help stop his father again. Of course, I am also one for the theory that perhaps William's children are not organic, but are actually in fact robots that he made. I know this theory sounds kind of crazy, but it would explain how Michael could somehow survive even with Ennard inside of him, and then later after he vomited up Ennard. If Michael is some kind of robot designed by William, like his animatronics, but obviously more lifelike, is it possible that he survived the fire, or that he could somehow return? We'll have to wait for Security Breach to find out what happens, and if he continues to remain dead, or if he returns to life somehow.
Unit 10 Logbook Chica. Is there a connection between Glamrock Chica and the ruined Chica we see in the logbook? We know that it can't be Withered Chica just due to different parts being present and missing, which could be explained away since Withered Chica, as we see her, could just be a more run down version than the logbook Chica. However, the logbook seems to come before FNAF 6 and FNAF 2 was the first game in the timeline, so this version is newer than the Withered Chica, so who could this mysterious Chica version be? Perhaps it was a teaser towards the new Chica and the rest of Security Breach. After all, the Glamrock animatronics may just be rebuilt originals or use some of the same parts, hence the disrepair. The Logbook Chica could have some form of connection to this new Chica, except I don't know exactly what it could be. What do you think? Do you think that Logbook Chica is a version of Glamrock Chica, or do you think it's something else? Be sure you let me know down below. And at 9, one of many. Are there multiple Chica animatronics? Or I guess just multiple animatronics of the various characters throughout the Pizzaplex? Honestly, it's possible. It would make sense. Like, if this place is supposed to be filled with kids who want to play mini golf with Monty, are they just supposed to wait for the single animatronic to make his rounds? It seems like the more likely or more business savvy scenario would be to have multiple animatronics of the same character positioned at different locations across the Pizzaplex, so the kids don't have to go looking so hard for their favorites. Like if there's a Monty at every other hole or something at mini golf, it's like he's caught up with the family playing on that hole instead of just there not being any Monty. Same with Chica. Would she have multiple versions all over the place just to satisfy the dads who, let's be honest, are only bringing their kids there after their horrible reputation because Glamrock Chica is slim thick? It seems like the wisest decision business-wise, because it would keep the kids coming back, because if the animatronics are hard to find, why would they go? They could just go to normal mini-putt. But we all know that Fazbear Entertainment isn't the most business-savvy company. FNAF AR Springtrap. And at 8, dinner time. We all know that Chica loves pizza, but I feel like pizza would be more Freddy's thing since he's the mascot, right? Well, we know that Chica loves food, and perhaps she loves it a little too much. She is, after all, so far the only animatronic that we've seen in the kitchen, which I mean, might be a little, bad for Scott. I mean, Scott's already stepped down, so what else can he do? But if Chica really does love food, what if she isn't after us at all, but rather is trying to grab us so that she can bring us to the food court? Look, I know it sounds weird, but you have to know that there is a place in Toronto called Chica's Chicken. And I can only talk about it if I bring up Chica wanting food, so pretty much that's why this number is here. That's the only reason. But I still might be onto something. A lot of people are guessing that Chica is going to be a good guy. What if she, like a loving partner, is just trying to make sure that you ate dinner today? It could be a thing! In FNAF VR, instead of jump scaring us in the pizza party minigame, we see Chica get distracted by pizza. So maybe she just wants us to get that yum yum in our tum tum. Huh? Did you ever think about that? And yes, this is a scary theory because a place called Chica's Chicken actually exists. That's why it's scary. I have it saved on Google Maps in places I want to go.
Number 7. Lefty. Some have even imagined a version of Lefty glam rocked out, but me personally, I would be happy just to see regular old Lefty. Lefty has really only made a brief appearance in the franchise, first appearing in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, and then later in the more predictable and not as story-focused titles Ultimate Custom Night and Special Delivery. Lefty could also be a 2-for-1 deal too. If we saw another version of the character, there might be another puppet within it. Maybe a new puppet, Glamrock puppet? That could be really weird and disturbing, but also kind of cool. Glamrock puppet.
And at 6, rebuilt toy. Could Glamrock Chica possibly be a rebuilt toy animatronic? It's very possible, considering how the two share the same shape, figure, and silhouette. And to our knowledge, the toy animatronics were scrapped, but also potentially saved for a later date. The only issue that I see with this is that FNAF 2 is the earliest game in the series, so if they scrapped it, that means that they would have to hold on to these animatronics and not reuse them for parts for over 30 years. At this point, more like 40 plus by the time Security Breach rolls around. I don't actually know what year this would have taken place in. Like, how long is the FNAF timeline? I don't know, that's theory for another day. But even if they did keep the full toy animatronics and then just fix them up with a fresh coat of paint for the Pizzaplex, would that even make sense? Well, from what we've seen in the trailers, it actually could, with the red eyes potentially being left over from when the animatronics could have spotted someone in their database, and their security guard-like movements and actions could be left over from that programming as well. And if now they're evil, it would be pretty easy to reverse that code, and just make them go berserk on anyone who isn't a threat. I don't know. It could be possible, but holding on to these animatronics for 30 years and then not ever reusing their parts before the Pizzaplex doesn't seem likely.
Number 5, Circus Baby. So I know how unlikely this is before you start, but I still really love Circus Baby, and I want it to happen. I know she was burned up in the fire and I need to let her go, but she's just such a great animatronic and character, and I'm just still so hopeful that her sharing a voice actor with Vanessa, with both characters being voiced by Heather Masters, could mean that they end up being somehow the same person, or that there's some connection there. That voice actor connection could be the link we need as a hint that Circus Baby is still alive in some way and has somehow survived. I'm also of the mindset that all of William Afton's children at this point could have just actually been hyper-realistic humanoid animatronics that he created, and they weren't actually real children. And if that's true, who is to say he doesn't have backup somewhere and is simply looking to harvest souls to give them new life? Maybe they were just like the other animatronics, but they were like, looked like people. I don't know.
And for Stitch Wraith connection. Could Chica have a connection to the Stitch Wraith that none of us know about? Firstly though, let's go over who is the Stitch Wraith. The Stitch Wraith is a mysterious figure wearing Phineas's black trench coat. It wears a white mask, later revealed to be the head of the Simon doll, and the mask's features are drawn on in thick black marker. It has two eyes, one of which is blackened, it sports a toothy grin with a missing tooth, and something appears to be stuck between its front teeth. Probably skin. It also appears to have blood around its mouth, but it's actually meant to be pizza sauce, but doubt it is. The rest of its body is an endoskeleton of unknown origin, and in its chest lies Fetch's battery, which glowed red when it killed its creator. It's the antagonist of the Fazbear Frights epilogues, however it seems to have a love of collecting broken animatronic pieces. See where I'm going with this? Could the Stitch Wraith be collecting bits of the Glamrock animatronics? A lot of people seem to believe that the purple arm at the end of the gameplay trailer is the Stitch Wraith's, but what if they're right, and William actually ends up taking over the Stitch Wraith's body, at least in the games? Probably not in the epilogues, but at least in the games. This would be an easy way of introducing the character, if that's the case.
Number 3. Glamrock Bonnie. Many fans of Bonnie are sad to see that when it comes to the Glamrock animatronics, Bonnie seems to have no place on the team. Bonnie is one of the classic animatronics, and one who Scott Cawthon himself has claimed that he actually finds the most frightening. Instead, on the current Glamrock team, we have Roxanne Wolf and Montgomery Gator, seeming to replace both Bonnie and Foxy's place in this revamped crew. Why no Bonnie though? Many fans have done their own redesigns of Bonnie, showing what a Glamrock Bonnie could look like if we got one, and I think many are still hoping that while not on the promotional material, there could at least be a hint or small peek at a newer, more electric version of Bonnie somewhere in Security Breach.
And ultimately, into number 2, Good Cop, Bad Cop. There seems to be two separate versions of Toy Chica. One with the guitar and pink sort of bodysuit, I guess it would be, that we see in the gameplay trailers for the main Security Breach game, and the other that we see in Fury's Rage, the side-scrolling beat-em-up that Scott released as an apology to the FNAF fans for the game being delayed, since that version seems to be wearing a skirt, jacket, and green high-heel boots. It's actually green, not pink like my script says. Some think that these are in fact two different versions of the characters, since Roxanne, Foxy, and Monty in that game all seem to have different styles as their main counterparts as well. But why? Perhaps because one group of these animatronics is going to help the player and the other are the ones that are attacking, since if you look at the gameplay trailers, those are the only versions we see attacking us, whereas the Fury's Rage versions are fighting off various other animatronics, including alternate versions of Springtrap, who we know is William Afton, so they would worship him if they were actually controlled by him, right? Finally, in at number 1, Broken. The ultimate question, however, is ultimately why is Chica's brain bashed in that final Security Breach teaser image? It's unknown. We seem to be outside the Pizzaplex in the back, which seems to be close to some form of sewer area from what I can see, but Glamrock Chica is absolutely destroyed, especially in the face. The beak is gone, nowhere to be seen, and she even has an arm ripped off. The parallels to Toy Chica from FNAF 2 are being more focused on, especially with this image, yet we still don't know why. As I'm sure you can tell, multiple of these theories mention this image or her missing beak. However, the threads are loose. We don't know why these animatronics are broken. We don't know if they're related or if it's just a red herring. We know nothing about what's going on truly in Security Breach, and I think that's one of the scariest things of all. The sheer mystery behind this game and the horrific implications as such. I'll be surprised if I'm able to sleep tonight. Okay, honestly, I don't think that's the case. I know I'll be fine, but like, it's certainly interesting. I guess we'll have to wait until December to really see. And yes, I think that it's getting released in December in time for like present buying season, because like that makes sense business-wise. I'm thinking, okay, I don't know why, I'm thinking December 17th. Saying it here now, before episode 3 of Freddy and Friends has come out. Just saying. I'm recording this beforehand, December 17th. 2021.
Number 10, the Roxy connection. Because everyone loves the animatronics in FNAF so much, it should come as no surprise that people even ship them together sometimes. What is shipping? Well, for those who don't know, shipping characters means that you are imagining what it would be like if they dated or were in a relationship. Relationship being the key word from where the term ship comes from. Some fans who ship Foxy and Bonnie together as a couple have even suggested that Roxy is their animatronic daughter. Of course, Foxy and Bonnie are both often referred to as being male animatronics, but they are also, well, animatronics, which means that you could combine pretty much any two animatronics together, regardless of their gender identity or lack thereof, and create something new if you so wish. Perhaps Roxy was more literally even made from parts which came from both Bonnie and Foxy, which is how I'd imagine creating an animatronic's offspring would work in FNAF, although that does imply that Foxy and Bonnie may have even had to die for Roxy to live. Pretty dark. Number 9, Montgomery Gator is the new Bonnie. When it comes to who is who in terms of character replacements, this one might seem a little on the nose, but it's still important to note. Montgomery is obviously meant to be the new Bonnie in the games. This isn't just because Roxanne matches up more neatly with taking over Foxy's place, which a lot of people have referred to due to their similar appearance. It's also because of Montgomery versus Bonnie's place in the band as lead guitarist. It seems as though Montgomery is filling in that position in the band, but also in the games in general. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want some more security breach theories, perhaps regarding specific characters, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8, Montgomery is the old Bonnie. We're being led to believe that security breach takes place during present day, 2021 or 2020. But what if that just isn't true? What if security breach actually takes place during a different time period? The 80s style of the game cannot be ignored. But the question is this some future trend 80s style where retro is made new again? Or does part of, or potentially all of the game actually take place during the 80s and we've been led astray by the clues that we've gotten so far? Is this some kind of weird misdirect? And if it does take place in the 80s, is it possible that Montgomery was only a temporary replacement for Bonnie who later rejoined the group afterwards? Perhaps because something bad happened either to or with Montgomery that got him removed from the group and dismantled, something that perhaps that game will explore. Number 7, 80s connection. While many people often point to the fact that Security Breach is meant to take place in the modern day and Crying Child was around in the 80s and 70s, you know, living his life, doing his thing, this doesn't actually disprove anything. Now, there are two ways that this could be dealt with. Either Security Breach, with its very 80s motif, isn't really set in the modern day, as we've been led to believe. Or, you know, time travel is a thing, and maybe Gregory is the Crying Child but simply time traveled, perhaps through the ball pit, from the 80s Fazbear establishment to the modern day one, the Mega Pizzaplex. I'm just saying that's a lot of 80s styling that we have in this game. Perhaps too much 80s style for it to be considered modern day. I remember when this game was first announced and we were like seeing some of the images from it, I was like, I feel like that's gonna be in the 80s. And everyone's like, no, it's modern day, Amanda, it's modern day. And I'm like, really? Because I feel like, I know 80s is trendy right now, but I don't know. I'm just saying, if it ends up being in the 80s, that's what I was thinking. Number 6, time traveling Bonnie. What if Bonnie is in the game but giving away just how they showed up would ruin the story for the fans? I've long been wondering if the entirety of Security Breach actually does take place in the present day. After all, we do see a ball pit in the trailer, and fans who have also read the Fazbear Frights books know that the main mention of a ball pit in that series involved time travel. It was a time traveling ball pit. Is it possible that this ball pit could also allow us to time travel, but instead of going to the dingy and grimy Jeff's Pizza, it takes us back in time to another Freddy's location, perhaps even the same location we are in the present, but as it was originally back in the 80s. Is it possible that through time traveling to the past, we could see Bonnie featured in the game, perhaps even a newer version of Bonnie than we're used to seeing, although a newer version to us, but still a version from the past? Does that make sense? We could even still see Bonnie glam rocked out for all we know. Number 5, the Foxy upgrade. Some fans believe that the other animatronics in the game can only run because they received what is referred to as a Foxy upgrade. After all, in FNAF 1 and even throughout the franchise, Foxy has really been the only animatronic that has been known for moving super quickly and simply just sprinting towards you. Some even believed that this was simply because Foxy was running to try and save you or check up on you, hence hence the urgency in their movement. But Scott Cawthon, of course, dismissed that theory. We were all like, Foxy's our friend! And Scott was like, not your friend, nope. Foxy's sprint mechanic makes them unique and also at times one of the most shocking and frightening animatronics to be jump scared by in-game. Imagine how much scarier Security Breach will be if all animatronics can run and sprint as fast as Foxy. And from the trailer, it looks like they'll be able to. Whether or not this is an upgrade from Foxy or elsewhere, it seems this is an ability that will be common. Number 4. Vanny is the new Bonnie. What if Bonnie is actually being replaced by another non-animatronic? Oh, Vanny. MatPat has theorized in the past that Security Breach will be a sort of passing of the torch to a new cast of characters, introducing both new humans and animatronics who could be allies or enemies, or even protagonists. If this is true, then it seems likely that Vanny could be the new Bonnie. After all, both are rabbits and both are antagonists. This would mean, however, sadly, no more Bonnie for us, as that role is already filled. Sad. Unless of course something even more sinister is going on when it comes to who might be taking over the role of everyone's favorite animatronic bunny bandmate. Number 3. The parallels continue. The crazy thing is that the FNAF 4 connections don't really end there with the whole child protagonist part. Not only is Security Breach the only other game with a child protagonist in the franchise thus far, but the stories even overlap somewhat in terms of broad strokes. Both seemingly center around a child who experiences some kind of horror or trauma, ruining a family-friendly place they initially loved. Both also have a child protagonist who is guided or aided in some way by a bear figure who seems to understand the situation that said protagonist is dealing with. Some also think that the purple animatronic hand we see in the trailer that is claw-like resembles the look of a nightmare animatronic, and some also see parallels between how Vanessa and psychic friend Fredbear both seem to try and comfort the protagonist in their respective games. Number 2. Nightmare Bonnie? What if the hand at the end is actually Bonnie, or at least a version of Bonnie? Some have theorized that this could be William returning as either an endo version of Bonnie, or perhaps as Nightmare Bonnie, even more frightening. This would also make sense if this was the direction the game and story decided to go in, considering that before he retired, Scott Cawthon was working on Security Breach. Scott has always said the animatronic that scares him the most is Bonnie, so it would make sense that Bonnie would end up as one of the most scary characters that we have in this game, William Afton. Number 1. Bunnies are bad. One theory suggests that Bonnie might not appear at all in this game because Fazbear Entertainment's Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex is actually part of a soft reboot of the entire franchise. So, why wasn't Bonnie invited to this party? Because Bonnie is a bunny. And considering that Springtrap was the one behind the murders with William Afton wearing that suit, causing the incidents that had the location shut down in the first place, and basically made them go bankrupt, it would make sense for them to feel that it might just be best to stay away from all the bunny animatronics in general, just to be safe and make everyone feel more at ease. However, that probably still won't end up working out so well for them, as we know that Vanny and Glitchtrap are likely going to be causing a bunch of mayhem still in this game, and they're also both bunny figures. Yikes. Number 10. Vanny killed Foxy. What if Vanny was actually the one to get rid of certain animatronics? Why? Well, it could be because she's looking for the perfect host for her master, Glitchtrap, aka William Afton's new body. Some have theorized that William Afton will be returning not in human form, but in the much more indestructible and immortal form of an animatronic. Indestructible. Perhaps Foxy is involved in this process, or perhaps Vanny has taken and harvested Foxy for spare parts to build a new and improved form for her master. I kinda hope it's like a new animatronic, because I think that would be really cool. Number 9. Roxanne and Foxy team up. Some believe that Roxanne and Foxy are in cahoots, and it's actually through her appearance that we will get to see Foxy as well. What are Roxanne and Foxy up to is the question. Why do they need to team up? It could be that the animatronics are still competing to catch Gregory, and Foxy will show up to help Roxanne in her time of need. If this is true, do you think Roxanne will be more or less successful because of Foxy's help? Could Foxy perhaps not be willing to help Roxanne and be forced to team up with her under duress? Is it possible that Foxy is being held captive and this team up isn't something that they're really willing to do? Or could it just be that Foxy decided to take a back seat to let his friend Roxanne shine bright in the spotlight? Maybe that's why Foxy just retired from the music career and was like, Roxanne, you got it, girl. Number 8. The competition. Alternatively, what if Roxanne actually got rid of Foxy? She could have started out as more of a background background character at Freddy's Mega Pizzaplex, and perhaps it was due to jealousy that Foxy disappeared. Instead of it being a corporate decision, perhaps the Foxy animatronic just one day went missing, which prompted Roxanne to get a promotion. Oh, how convenient. This could very well mean that there is, or at least was, a Glamrock Foxy. Perhaps instead of seeing Glamrock Foxy whole in this game, we will only learn of what happened to him via the story in the game, and instead find his spare parts and remains, which Roxanne attempted to dispose of. I'm just saying, if you get to take a close look at Roxanne's area in the Pizzaplex, which I think we will get to do, maybe look out for any tufts of fur or like a bedazzled eye patch that could be hidden somewhere nearby. It was Roxanne. Roxanne murdered Foxy. Number 7. Surprise Bonnie. Another theory is that Bonnie isn't actually left out of the game at all. It's just that they were simply not in the trailer. Instead of Bonnie being a character that we'll never see, they are simply a character who hasn't shown up yet but will eventually. Instead of Bonnie being a featured character, that might be an Easter egg or some kind of animatronic surprise that is waiting around the corner to meet us. Anyone see that bowling alley? That could be all the Bonnie we get, honestly. Although it is important to note, just because we haven't seen neither tail nor ears of Bonnie as an animatronic doesn't mean they aren't just lurking somewhere in the game behind the scenes. Perhaps they aren't in the main band, but instead are relegated to their own super secret attraction, or perhaps they're just chilling at the bowling alley and we just haven't seen them yet. Number 6. Love affair. A lot of people have noticed just how similar Roxanne and Foxy seem to look, which has many fans theorizing about if the pair could actually be related somehow. Granted, Foxy is a fox and Roxanne is a wolf, but they are similar enough that some think that Roxanne might actually be the reason for both Foxy and Bonnie's potential absence in Security Breach. This is because they believe that Roxanne is actually the child of Foxy and Bonnie, who are in love with each other. I mean, this is the internet and this is FNAF, so any relationship mashups could of course be possible and likely have been shipped somewhere out on the internet and have countless fans of them. I personally think if Roxanne is their offspring together, that it might actually make sense that they don't appear. I'm not sure how in love Foxy and Bonnie were or are, but in the technical sense, this makes sense. Roxanne may have actually been built from Bonnie and Foxy's spare parts, being their child in the sense that she was made from them, born of them, if you will. However, that would also mean that we definitely won't be seeing Foxy in this game, as the animatronic would have had to give up its own existence to give life to Roxanne. Number 5. Robo Children. If Michael is actually a realistic humanoid animatronic of some kind, and if Michael and Crying Child happen to be separate children and separate entities, what would stop Crying Child from returning as an animatronic? In fact, it is possible that William rebuilt Crying Child as an animatronic, but that Robo CC escaped his father and so he simply made Michael from scratch to replace Crying Child. Or perhaps none of these children were ever real, Elizabeth included, and they're all animatronics and have been since day one. And Crying Child just was an animatronic child that ran away. It would make sense considering the mystery of Mrs. Afton continues to go unresolved, and since I'm not really sure who would let someone as strange as William Afton adopt kids. I mean, I guess he wasn't always so strange. Perhaps before the killings he was like a super responsible parent and people were like, yeah, you should totally have kids. You seem like a real nice guy, William Afton. Anyways, if Robo CC was a thing and then that animatronic escaped, is it possible that even if we are in the modern day with Security Breach, that Gregory is that animatronic? Because after all, if he was an animatronic, then he wouldn't age, right? After all, we saw in the Silver Eyes trilogy a similar scenario where Charlie learned she was one of a few different animatronic versions of the real life Charlie that were made by Henry after he lost his flesh and blood daughter and also lost his mind. Is it possible that this story serves to lay the groundwork for what is going on here with Gregory, possibly being a robotic version of the Crying Child? And if so, perhaps he came to the Mega Pizzaplex on purpose. Perhaps he is here to end his father, William Afton, for good. Maybe it's William that should be afraid of Gregory, I don't know. Number 4. Modded Foxy. What if Roxanne wasn't always Roxanne, but was instead Foxy but heavily modded? After all, initially when we were looking at silhouettes, we all thought that Roxanne was going to be Foxy, and the fact that Foxy is missing in the Security Breach lineup seems to suggest that Foxy might actually indeed just be Roxanne. Or rather, Roxanne is instead a super modded Foxy? But why? Why? Well, this could be due to Freddy's just wanting to refresh with branding, or simply not liking the overall design of Foxy and wanting to change it because they felt it was too, I don't know, outdated? Me, I think pirates will always be cool, but perhaps not everybody at Fazbear Entertainment who works in branding and marketing shares my love of all things pirate forever. Yar. Number 3, Bonnie becomes Glitch Trap. We've all focused on the fact that Glitch Trap is looking for a human host just based on what seems to be implied with him needing or wanting Gregory for some yet unknown purpose. A lot of people assume that Glitch Trap will try to possess Gregory and use him as a host, but does this really make sense? After all, if you were going to take over anyone as an adult, would you really choose to become a child? I mean, being a child was cool and all, but children aren't really able to do as much as adults are because they don't have permission from either their parents or the government. There would be a lot that you couldn't do simply because you just weren't old enough yet, or even because you might not physically be capable of that yet. So why would Glitch Trap want Gregory for this purpose? It's more likely to me that Bonnie is actually the intended host, and Glitch Trap plans or perhaps has already moved into an animatronic and taken hold of it. The fact that Bonnie isn't seen in the trailer could mean that Bonnie is the one who will show up as the new main antagonist, fully possessed by Glitch Trap. And we'll get a big reveal of this, which is why Bonnie doesn't show up, so as not to ruin that big reveal. Number 2, Bite of 87. The Bite of 87 is still a hot debate topic amongst FNAF fans. We don't really know who is behind it. Many have speculated, however, that Foxy makes a lot of sense as a prime suspect. 1, he's got super sharp teeth, which instantly makes him suspicious, and 2, he also seems to be off to the side when we see him in the first game, with his own Pirate's Cove kinda like out of order. Why is this? Could it be because Foxy was responsible for the Bite of 87? And if Security Breach is later in the timeline, is it possible that Foxy was taken out of the group, thrown away, and eliminated because he was the one behind the bite? Which would make sense. They'd be like, we don't want animatronics that bite people. We also don't want bunny animatronics because all the murders. Number 1, Foxy has left the chat. Of course, one of the most scary theories that I can think of for Foxy in regards to Security Breach is that my favorite animatronic will not be appearing there. Sure, there is definitely going to be Glamrock Chica, who I also love dearly, but Foxy is honestly my favorite animatronic, and I think Foxy is also a favorite animatronic for many other fans out there too. So this would definitely be a travesty were it to be true. The reality is we really haven't seen anything in the trailer to suggest that Foxy will most definitely be appearing. All in all, he's been pretty absent. And while Roxanne is cool, not having Foxy in this game would be completely depressing and horrifying as a fan. Only time will tell, however, and hopefully we will get at least a very small hint of Foxy somewhere, at least a little Easter egg, please. At the very least, I just want something on the same level as Bonnie Bowl, in case that's all we also get of Bonnie. I don't know what it would be for Foxy. I want what I really want is I want a place where you can polish hooks and buy hooks, but I don't know why I want that. It's not like a fun thing you would do at an arcade. It's just a weird thing that I associate with Foxy. Number 10, rareness of new characters. With the exception of a few, many of the characters we've seen in these games seem to be continuously connected back to the lore of the Aftons. A lot of the humanoid characters in the games that aren't the Aftons simply tend to be their victims in some way. This means that either Gregory is going to be some kind of victim of theirs, or is actually somehow related to the Aftons. More than likely, at least based on what we've seen already. Of course, the same could be said for other new characters, or character, Vanessa and Vanny. Assuming, of course, like I said, that they aren't the same person. Then I guess they're a character. However, it is possible that Gregory will be neither and will simply become a new protagonist separate from the status quo, without him being a full-on murdered victim and without him being related to the Aftons in any way. Like I said though, it is surprisingly rare in the games for us to have a character who has both no connection and doesn't end up somehow hurt or murdered by William, so some people get a little bit of both. Number 9, Freddy and Friends on Tour, Episode 3. We see another connection to the crying child with the 3rd episode of Freddy and Friends on Tour. Almost every episode seems to have some kind of connection to the games in terms of their location, and with episode 3 it almost appears as though the animatronics antics are going on within the house that we see in FNAF 4. The painting at the end of the corridor they run around in, the purple flowers in the vase, and the windows above the doors all evoke some of the feel and look of that house that we see in FNAF 4. This house is believed to be the Afton house, with both Crying Child and his sister Elizabeth each seeming to have bedrooms in this house. Freddy and Friends was created to help tease the release date and contents of Security Breach. So is it possible that this episode is teasing a connection to FNAF 4? And could that connection lie with Gregory? And friends, before we move on to our next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to hear more crazy outlandish theories from our brains, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. You know Connor and I have those theories for you, and our wild brains. Number 8. Glamrock Freddy. One hint that Gregory might actually be Crying Child could come from the story and mechanics that we know about in Security Breach. I don't know if you've noticed, but the coloring of Glamrock Freddy actually seems to be closer to Golden Freddy than Freddy Fazbear himself. And what do we know about Gregory and Glamrock Freddy in the games? Well, we know the two team up and that Gregory even hides himself within Glamrock Freddy, perhaps foreshadowing or mirroring the possession or connection between Golden Freddy and Crying Child, who is believed to be one of, if not the spirit that haunts that animatronic. I'm not saying that this is hard evidence or anything of Gregory being Crying Child, but the subtle similarities between the two seems to suggest that Gregory hiding in Glamrock Freddy could be a nod to CC and likely could be a hint at their connection. Number 7. Friends at Last. Of course, being a big Foxy fan, you know I want this to happen. I want it to happen so bad. Perhaps Foxy is not featured in the trailer but is present in the game as an ally to us, which might explain their lack of appearance there. After all, we don't want to spoil it if animatronics can be our allies in the game, which has already kind of been hinted at perhaps with Montgomery Gator. And perhaps all the parts with Foxy in the game would make that way too obvious. It has been theorized before that some of the animatronics may provide a hiding spot for Gregory, allowing him to move around inside the animatronic and go undetected. Some think one or many of these animatronics could be helping you. What if one of them is Foxy? Foxy could be hiding behind the scenes or have his own special area that he's relegated to that we just haven't seen yet. And Foxy could very well be an animatronic that simply isn't chasing us, but is actually for reals this time, finally our friend. Finally just coming to check in on us. Number 6. Kidnapped. This point actually comes out of something I've been pondering on for a while. While initially deep diving into the FNAF Security logbook, I had a couple of theories. One was that Crying Child could be Michael Afton, and that Michael perhaps was brainwashed to forget who he was before, or, forgot due to brain damage. Crying Child therefore didn't really die, but survived and became Michael in some way. My other theory, though, was that Crying Child was never really William's child, but instead was kidnapped and brainwashed into thinking he was William's child. In fact, at the time, I thought it would actually make more sense if this were true for all of his children, which in that case could mean that both my theories were true, and Crying Child was kidnapped, brainwashed, seemingly died in the bite of 83, and then was re-brainwashed or reprogrammed to believe he was Michael. So we kinda got like a reset. If Crying Child was taken, then what if what we are seeing in Security Breach is that incident? As I said previously, I know we are being led to think this game takes place in the modern day, but what if we were wrong? What if these are somehow events that come before the bite of 83 and the missing children incident that we believe was in 1985? Is it possible? And if so, will Gregory turn out to be the child who goes on to become perhaps Crying Child and later Michael? This could be the incident where Gregory gets taken away and then becomes someone new. Of course, how is Vanny in the game? I feel like that's going to be a question people are going to have, and I don't know. Time travel. I'm not sure what's happening there. Number 5. Glamrock Bonnie. There are theories that Glamrock Bonnie does exist, but simply has been cut out of the trailer. Why? Well, we don't really know. But perhaps it's because showing Glamrock Bonnie would give too much away in terms of the gameplay or the story. It's possible that Glamrock Bonnie is either directly operating as our ally, or perhaps is tucked away in an area of the game that to show us would basically ruin the whole thing. Glamrock Bonnie could exist though, and perhaps could even have been temporarily taken out of service, which might even be why Montgomery Gator is there to begin with. With human bands, there are times when you might see a band with rotating bandmates as some get pulled into other projects. In this case, it could be because Bonnie is just glitching out, so maybe Bonnie's out for now, but we'll be back. Number 4. FNAF 4 Protagonist. Something that is very interesting is that we don't really see many other child protagonists in the Five Nights at Freddy Freddy's games. Despite this whole franchise really appealing to a younger audience, many of the protagonists we play as are adults or young adults. There has only been one other time we played even as a child protagonist, and that was during FNAF 4. Do you know who that protagonist was? I mean, you're here watching this video and we've talked up to this point, so I assume you do. It was Crying Child. Yep, it was Crying Child. Considering there was only ever one other child protagonist we got to play as, it seems likely that this time around, where we once again play as a child, that we could be playing as the same child from FNAF 4. Now, if that's the case, it would mean that Gregory is the Crying Child. Of course, they could be two separate child protagonists, but just saying it's really rare. Number 3, inspired by. What if we have this all backwards? What if instead of Foxy being modded into a Roxanne, Roxanne was actually the inspiration for Foxy? We all believe we know that this game takes place and that it is set more in the present day. But this could just be a red herring. After all, you can't ignore the extremely 80s theme of this game's aesthetic. What if Security Breach is actually set in the 1980s? Is it possible then that Roxanne could be the earlier incarnation of Foxy, the animatronic who actually inspired everyone's favorite fox? This timeline, after all, is pretty wonky for FNAF, and we know there wasn't a Foxy at Fredbear's. Is Freddy's Mega Pizzaplex then potentially a location that existed on the timeline between Fredbear's and Freddy's? Could it possibly have existed prior to Foxy's creation? I mean, it seems unlikely, but it could be possible. I'm just saying. Number 2, recurring. Just think about all the other games in the franchise. Many characters are recurring, and we've played as the same protagonist before in this series. In both FNAF 1 and FNAF 5 sister location, we play as Michael Afton, or at least we appear to be playing as Michael Afton anyways. And in FNAF 3, there are many people that believe we are still playing as Michael in that game, although it's not really confirmed. The fact that recurring characters and protagonists are a thing in this world also seems to suggest that this could be the case this time around. And like I said, we've only seen one other child protagonist, so CC, is it you? Number 1, similar appearance. So the look of Gregory and Crying Child isn't a one-for-one by any means, but they do have similarities when it comes to their appearance. Namely, they have the same hair color. I mean, also we don't really know Crying Child's eye color, but they also seem to have the same eye color. They both have dark eyes. Gregory has brown eyes. Crying Child has black eyes, I guess. Not really a thing, so I assume they're supposed to be brown. Also, while we haven't gotten a great look at Gregory's outfit via the trailers, some fans have taken to drawing him with 2 stripes on his shirt, which would also make him resemble Crying Child. We don't know if he's got 2 stripes on his shirt, and in fact it seems unlikely just based on what we've seen of him, but he could end up having those stripes, and if he did, that would be another similarity. We'll likely even see Gregory cry in-game, as everything that appears to be happening to him is really scary, so there could also be that as well when it comes to his appearance.